Thank you everyone for your patience while we worked out some technical issues.
Recording in progress.
I will call to order the August 27th, 2024 regular meeting of Tolland Town Council. To order, we will start with the Pledge of Allegiance and then a moment of silence. So if we can stand, please do. While we do our pledge of
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Number 4 on tonight's agenda is welcome and congratulations to the U14 boys soccer team for winning the state cup championship.
Thank you, Chair. So I want to thank the soccer team for coming here tonight and the family members. I want to thank the kids, obviously, the coaches, and all the parents for your hard work, and congratulations to you all. Soccer is a very, very important program to Tolland. Maybe our strongest sport and strongest infrastructure revolves around our soccer program and somewhat for what the town is known for sports-wise. So we look forward to great things from all you gentlemen in the future, hopefully at our Tolland High School. And with that, I'll pass it over to our chair.
Yeah, absolutely. So if I need to go through the list and read off all your names, I'm gonna make a mistake. But maybe we could go around the room and you could just stand up and tell us who your name is. We're gonna start over here. Who's over there? Congratulations.
Bill Reed. Jackson Davis. Will Feinberg. John Machica. Patrick Green.
The head coach of the team. Thank you to the council for having us tonight. To our club president, Dave Garrett. Thank the Tolland Soccer Club for all the support they've given our team over 6 years of being together. Thanks to the family and families we've had for 6 years, and finally the boys for putting all the work over 6 years to win this for us and for the town and for Tolland Soccer Club. So thanks again for having us.
Yeah, thank you so much. Did any of you gentlemen want to say anything? It's okay. Totally okay. Just giving you your chance. Yeah, we'll do it, sure.
All right.
We're gonna just, if anybody else wants to say anything.
Good.
No, congratulations. Brian's right. I think soccer is one of the biggest sports in town. Just congratulations. And I know Dave Garrett does a wonderful job with the program. And thank you. And congratulations.
Yeah, I just want to echo the congratulations. All your dedication and hard work definitely reflect positively on the town. And we really appreciate it. Soccer is a huge thing in this town. So thank you all for your dedication and for coming tonight. Congrats.
Congratulations, and it's great having everyone here to celebrate tonight.
Do you guys want to do a picture?
Yeah.
Yeah. Coach says yes. Yeah. Coach says yes.
Sure, I will let you take a picture.
Want to do Can we do that?
Well, we can do whatever we want.
Okay. Let's step outside to the out here in the lobby.
We're just gonna take a recess. Is there objection to taking a brief recess while we take a picture? No. Okay, so we're gonna just take, yeah.
Katie, just one more thing. I want to introduce our team manager, Chico. She's kept this whole thing running for the past 6 years.
Awesome. So we're gonna take a picture outside where we have a little bit more room out in the hallway. Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
By the window.
Right.
Yeah. It's amazing what songs.
We're back.
search or official search. That's 20 hours. Just narrowly edge out everyone else. It's the way it goes. No, I'm not. No, I'm just mentioning. Right.
No, I would have spoken, so.
I would have. I would not. I'll let the victory speak for itself.
All right, we will come back from recess. That was really fun, so thank you everyone for your patience while we took a quick picture. Number 5 on our agenda is public petitions, communications, and public participation. This is on any subject within the jurisdiction of the town council with a 2-minute limit. We do have people both here in person and online. If you are online and you wish to speak, please raise your Zoom hand or press star 9, and we will alternate between the in-person room and the virtual room. We'll start in person. Is there anyone who would like to speak? Okay, online it looks like we have Sean Lappin.
Hello, Town Council. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can. Thank you.
Hello, Sean Lappin, 168 Mountain Spring Road. Hello, Town Council. I'm not able to attend this meeting in person tonight because I've been busy working my 3rd job that I mentioned previously in order to continue paying for a house that I do not live in and cannot sell, all due to road salt contamination. So far, there has been no additional work at my property, and only earlier today did I receive an update about the plans at the property after our representative, Tammy Nuccio, inquired, but still no definitive timelines. Plain and simple, do better and move this along. I would ask the town council to continue to advocate for me and others in a similar position because we are at this place through no fault of our own. Your next question should be focused at the town's insurance company and why this is continuing to drag on longer than it need be. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else in the room who would like to speak? Anyone else online who would like to speak? Okay. Seeing no more interested speakers, we will move on to item 6, which is our public hearing item.
Okay.
Do you want to
Yep.
give us a little
Sure.
background here?
So the public hearing item is something we voted on to do at our last council meeting, I believe. And this is on the bonding or bonding basically referendum coming up at the presidential election. That's at least our intent to fund the paving of our roads. This is something that has gone on for 10 years. 2 previous 5-year bondings have been done for the paving. We typically, the last 2, we've done $5 million a year to pave the road, $5 million, $1 million a year over 5 years to pave the roads, with the anticipation of that $1 million per year paving approximately 5 to 7 roads. However, with inflation, the cost of paving the roads has gone to the point where we're just barely getting over 3 miles of road done per year. We had a 5-year plan done back in 2019 to rate and pave the roads to get us through the 5 years. Due to inflation, we have not been able to keep up with that 5-year plan, but we're going to continue on it. This is the public hearing on whether or not, or on anything to do with this bond. And I have Lisa Hancock online as well, if we have any questions.
Sure, thank you. So for procedure, this is our time to open a public hearing to allow the public to speak about this bonding item. The resolution that is in our packet would be to put this question out to referendum on the November general election ballot. Is that correct?
That is correct.
So we're not making a decision here today beyond just, do we put this out to ballot?
Yes.
Okay.
And can I note that if we don't approve this tonight, it will not be on the ballot.
Okay.
We will have to look to do another referendum down the road and likely not do almost no paving next year.
So if we don't vote to put this on the ballot tonight.
Yep.
It won't go on the November ballot and would impact our time period for next year. Good
Correct.
to know. Thank you. So typically, we, at this point, open it up to council members to ask any clarifying questions. And then we would typically open up the public hearing, hear from the public, close the public hearing, and then have a discussion within the council. So that's the procedure. Yep, you'll do. Yep, hold on one second. We're gonna wait till you have a public hearing for that.
Yep.
So that being said, are there any clarifying questions that any council members wish to ask at this point before we open the public hearing?
I just want to confirm, Brian, that this is what we've been like operating under as we move through the budget process.
Absolutely.
Previously, this is what's in our debt management plan, what was voted at the prior referendum.
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions?
I do have some questions, but I think Counselor Shea does as well.
Okay,
I know he's having trouble raising his hand.
I wanted to do procedural questions now as opposed to content-wide questions.
Oh, like
Oh,
just
sorry.
mechanics, like.
Yeah, the mechanics, unless the council wants to handle it differently, that's typically how we do it.
Oh.
Not content questions now, typically, no,
Yeah.
we can do it differently if anybody really feels strongly about it. But we would typically open the public hearing, allow the public to speak, and then we would kind of debate and determine.
Okay,
Is that okay?
yeah, I don't have any questions. about
Yep.
procedure.
And Councilor Shea, I saw your hand go up and then go back down. Are you okay with that plan as well?
Yeah, if this is purely procedure that we're talking about and nothing to do with content, then I'm fine.
Yeah, there will be an opportunity once we close the public hearing to talk about content.
Okay.
Is there a motion then to open the public hearing?
So moved.
Moved by Councilor Moran. Is there a second?
A second.
Second by Councilor Shea. Is there any discussion about opening the public hearing? No. Okay, so we are gonna do a roll. Yep. I'm sorry. I thought that was Mr. Murray.
Yeah.
Second by Councilor. What did I say?
You said Shay.
Shay, I'm sorry, Councilor Murray, my bad. All right, so since we are hybrid this evening, we do need to do a roll call vote. So we'll start with Councilor Buckler,
Aye.
Councilor Shea,
Aye.
Councilor Moran,
Aye.
Councilor Yudichak.
Aye.
Councilor Murray, I'm also an aye, so that is unanimous. The public hearing is open. We will start with Councilor Yudichak to report on any communications that we have received for our rules of procedure.
Sure, thank you. So we did get one, this resident supports supported it going to referendum, and he just made one recommendation would be to develop an additional one-page document explaining the increase in cost of labor and materials, just basically a information piece, but otherwise it was support for the project. Going to referendum.
Thank you. Can we make sure that communication gets to the clerk? So thank you so much for it. So if anyone else wishes to speak on this public hearing item, this is your opportunity to do so. If you are online, you can raise your Zoom hand or press *9. If you're in the room, we'd ask you to come up to the table. Please give us your name and address for the record, and then you can speak. So is there anyone in the room who would like to speak on this? All right, anybody on Zoom who would like to speak on this? In the room? Online? All right, seeing no takers for the public hearing. Is there a motion then to close the public hearing?
So moved.
Moved by Councilor Mari, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Councilor Mari. Is there any discussion about closing the public hearing? Okay, so then we will do a roll call vote to close the public hearing. Councilor Buckler,
Aye.
Councilor Shea,
Aye.
Councilor Martin,
Aye.
Councilor Yudichak, and Councilor Mari.
Aye.
I'm also an aye. So at this point, the public hearing is closed and we move on to council deliberations. Is there any questions, comments, anything the council would like to discuss before we vote on this? Councilor Shea, did you have questions?
So Yeah, now we're talking about content rather than procedure.
Yes.
Okay, great. Hang on a second. Let me just trying to get my video to work. Okay. So I'm all for paving the roads. It's that's not the issue I have. I still have a question about the length of these bonding notes that we're doing here. I think the worksheets that we got, did they indicate a 15-year bond? Is that what I understood to be?
What are you asking? I missed it. One more time, Joe.
15-year bond, so it's modeled.
No, 20-year was modeled, but if I could just let you know where since we last talked, Joe, I had the same question as you did. And I don't have an answer as to which way we should go definitively. And again, that'll fall, I guess we'll take your recommendations on council. Obviously, having great respect for your opinion and Lisa's, I also wanted to get a third party. So we reached out to our financial advisor and got his thoughts. He concurred with you that is an interesting thought and something that should be considered. He did not say one or the other is better. I guess if you had to lean one way, I would say he agrees a 15-year. But at the same time, I also did some research in regards to the amount of time that our paving is lasting, and having some questions with what we had heard before. I had Ann, our admin, who was in DPW, do some research today. So last year we did the Hilltop neighborhood, which is at the corner of Crystal Lake and Route 30, kind of tucked back there. And I wanted to know when the last time we did that was, and that was 19 years ago. Then randomly, two roads, well, not randomly, the road that we get complained about the most, Slater, I would say when the last time that was paved, and that was 1999. So when it gets paved next year, it'll be on year 26. And then Goose Lane, just jumping out, it was done after 16 years. So those are just, I wasn't putting my thumb on the scale or anything like that. Those were just random things that I had Ann run through really quick. Slater being the big one, and what did we do last year when were those last paved? And so that's what we came up with. Now look at, do I want Slater Road lasting 26 years again next time? Probably not. DPW had to do a lot of work getting it leveled out this year. But certainly that's not the 10 to 15 years that we had heard. We'd all love our roads paved every 10 to 15 years, but that's just probably not the case. But that being said, Joe, that the financial advisor did give credence to what you said. In fact, he said when he had first started in the business a long time ago, they were doing these at 5 to 10 year. So now they're at 20. So it comes down to really council preference. Although I want Lisa to give her opinion on where she stands with that, and I do believe we could change it because it's not the actual term is not defined in said referendum or in the resolution. So Lisa, what are your thoughts?
Well, certainly, what you're voting on this evening does not lock us into a 10-year, 15. It just locks us into what we're allowed by state statute. So I think I'm trying to remember if the statute changed. I know it could go as much as 20. I think it's up to 25 now, but we've never pushed it out for 25 years. With that said, when it comes time to structure the debt, we can look at the debt management plan. We can discuss with council what the alternatives are with how to structure it. So if you wanted to go 10 years, you want to go 20, you want to go 15, there's different schedules and structures that we could put into play when we actually go to issue the debt. We never issue the whole 7 million, for example, at one shot. It's every year we'll issue some. Sometimes we push it out a little bit. Historically, we've done the 20 years. It's shown that most of the roads do last that long, maybe pushing it a bit. However, the reasoning behind it is because we were trying to keep a level debt budget for taxation, so not to have to increase the mill rate. There's pros and cons to that. The longer you go, of course, the more interest you're going to pay on your debt.
Right.
So there was choices that were made. I didn't make these decisions. These were things that previous town managers had wanted to keep a level budget, so that's how we managed it. If you go a shorter term, yes, you will have less of an interest cost, but you will also have higher debt payments during that period of time. So then we have to look in the debt management plan, how does it impact the budget? And is the town council willing and the public willing to pay the extra debt, incorporate it into a budget, try to get a budget passed? You know what that's like. So those are all the things you need to consider depending on how you want to change how you spread out the debt. One of the things that our financial advisor did share with me today was when he looked at the present value, it really, even though there's an interest savings, the formula that he showed me really in present value money did not show a big savings by going out 20 or 15 years. Again, that's present value money. There's a lot involved, and I don't want to complicate everyone understanding all of this, but there's a number of things that you can look at when it comes time to issue the debt and do the debt management plan. So like I said, what you're voting on tonight is just the resolution to authorize the bonding. When it comes time to structure the debt, then normally that's been an internal discussion, but certainly if the council wants to weigh in on that, by all means, that discussion can be had.
Okay.
Now, did you guys hear me okay?
Perfect, thank you very much. Lisa.
Counselor Shannon, do you have any further questions?
So I don't think so. I think the council should be a little bit involved in that and not just let the finance team sort of decide we're going to go 15 or 20 year. Personally, I'd like to see, and Scott had brought this up, and I know Brian, you did do some research on a couple of roads. I'd be curious to see what Old Stafford Road was, because that's been on the list for a couple of years now to get that repaved, and I drive that almost daily, and I do see that it's pretty beat up. I'd like to know when the last time that road was repaved, because that's one of the main roads that runs through the town. Because I think that one was paved less than 15 years ago, and it's in pretty rough shape. So Scott had indicated that our heavier used roads generally last 12 to 15 years. That sounds pretty reasonable to me. And then the lesser used sort of neighborhood type roads can last 20 years or so. So I think personally, to be financially prudent, it would make more sense if we know we're going to be paving a series of main roads in a particular year, that we do the bonding for, let's say, 10 years. And that way we're not paying off this debt right at the last year that a road is good. It'd be nice to have the road paid off and use it, I want to say, tax-free for a few years before it needs to be repaved. And similarly for secondary roads, that maybe we issue the 15-year bonds that were proposed. So I know that's nothing that has to be decided on referendum, as Lisa just said, which is good news. But I just think it's something that we should try to manage a little bit better going forward.
Thank you. Counselor Mari?
Yeah, so I agree with Joe. I think it'd be good to have this discussion at council when it does come time to issue that debt. Assuming that this referendum gets voted on tonight and passes in November, when would that discussion be taking place about issuing the debt?
Lisa?
The first year of this debt would be the 25-26 budget. We would probably be issuing the debt sometime in maybe September, October timeframe of 25. But that means a lot of it has to be structured before that. I mean, we probably should be looking at in the next budget process, if you want a shorter amortization, then we build that into the debt management plan to see just, how it's going to impact the budget, if at all. And to see, if that's something that the council's going to have an appetite for going forward. Probably look at all the pros and cons of it at that time. So I would say maybe when we're doing the debt management plan, with the capital process, we usually do that. We give that to you in December. I don't think the manager talks about it till February, so it would be somewhere around that time frame. Maybe we even do a special meeting to talk about the debt management plan and how it would impact it.
That's a good idea.
Yeah, I think that'd be good to have that conversation late this year, early next.
So just quickly, I agree with Councilor Shea and Councilor Mari that council should be involved in the plan. And I won't get too far into thoughts or concerns I have. Just one thing I would want to know sort of in advance of that meeting is the impact that would have on the debt management plan with respect to requiring us to raise taxes further or cut town services, given the budget that we passed this year where town services are pretty lean, and some of my colleagues argued on council that there wasn't an appetite for certain tax increases. So I would certainly want to understand that better. But I do agree that it's a conversation we should probably have with the tax rate.
Any other questions?
Can I go back? I had one more question, Katie.
Sure.
There was in our packet, there was a listing of proposed roads to be paved. And to be very handy, I didn't see it on the list, and maybe I missed it because I was looking at it on my cell phone, which is tiny print. But it'd be very handy to have the last time that those particular roads were paved in that worksheet, so that we kind of know. What's that?
I completely agree, Joe. But understand there's a few things we're dealing with here. Record keeping was different 20 years ago. How they paved the roads may have differed 20 years ago. There was an effort to professionalize that entire process. I couldn't agree more, and that's why I had Ann start doing research today on that. And I'll see if we have that and if it exists anywhere. Paul, do you think we have anything like that?
I'd have to look in the office tomorrow.
It's almost an individual road by road, and some of the roads, I don't even know if we're gonna have documents on it, but
Okay.
certainly professionalization is there now,
Good.
but 25 years ago, maybe not.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, to the extent we have it, it'd be nice to see it on there, and then you just leave an NA or something for records that we just don't have.
Got it.
Okay.
Any other questions or comments? So officially before us is a resolution in our agenda, item 6.1. This is on page 14 of the agenda, of our packet. And the motion that we're looking for is for this resolution to be introduced. Nope, sorry, wrong item. That says public hearing. Is that correct, Lisa? I'm sorry. On page 14 in our packet, is that the motion you want us to make? The motion that the following resolution be introduced and set down for a public hearing on August 27th at 4 p.m.?
No.
I think it's the historic.
Oh, it's the whole big thing.
Yeah. You wouldn't want to motion that. They did not change it when they redid the packet this time around. You would want to have the draft resolution voted on tonight, and the draft resolution should refer to the big one, which you do not have to read the big one.
No, I'll read just the first paragraph. Resolution authorizing an appropriation of $7 million for road improvements. But we're not making that motion either, are we? Our motion is to put it to referendum.
Correct.
Can I just wing it?
Are you reading?
The thing is, we need the question for the referendum.
Shall the resolution entitled Resolution Authorizing an Appropriation of $7 million for road improvements and the financing of said appropriation by the issuance of general obligation bonds of the town and notes in anticipation of such bonds in amount not to exceed $7 million be approved? That's what you need?
They need the question for the referendum. If it's not voted on, they can't use that question at the referendum.
Okay.
Can I pipe in a minute? The draft resolution in the packet, is the appropriate resolution written by our bond attorney.
Are you on
would
page 14?
Let me see. Yes, page 14. You would not say the motion, the following motion be set down. You would just start with, be it resolved by the town council as follows, and that paragraph there, and then you would refer to the copy of the full text. Will be recorded in the minutes.
Okay.
That is the appropriate resolution, and you would need a roll call vote.
Yeah, of course, roll call vote, okay. So the resolution that we're voting on, just to be clear, and thank you everyone for helping us clarify this, is a consideration and action concerning a resolution to A, appropriate $7 million for certain road improvements, B, authorize the town to issue and sell its notes and bonds pursuant to the Connecticut general statutes or any other provisions of law thereto enabling in an amount not to exceed $7 million, C, authorize the submission of the project resolution to the voters at referendum, and D, authorize such other actions relating to the foregoing as may be necessary or appropriate.
Move to make the motion as stated.
Wonderful, you don't want to redo it? No, sorry. Motion made by Councilor Murray, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Councilor Moran. All right, so we do need to do a roll call vote. Councilor Buckler,
Aye.
Councilor Shay,
Aye.
Councilor Moran,
Aye.
Councilor Yudichak,
Aye.
Councilor Murray.
Aye.
I'm also an aye, thank you. All right. Whew. Now we get to move on to 7A, reports of boards and committees responsible to the council. Brian, do you want to start? Is there a road salt update? We're gonna meet in September.
Yes, we decided to do a road salt task force meeting in September, but while we're in the neighborhood, we did have a meeting with DEEP and DPH this week. And we talked about a lot of interesting things, but basically it was our timeline on where we are with everything. And some interesting ideas were brought forth by DEEP that we'll consider.
Wonderful. Thank you.
We have not set a date yet for the task force, but it'll be in September.
Yep. Okay. ARPA?
ARPA has not.
Oh, that's easy. Okay.
You find it.
Firehouse.
Yeah, you need to do firehouse.
All right, so we met, I think it was last week. At that time, we were waiting for some things to be done, but I talked to Megan today. Can I give those updates that you gave? Sure. Okay, because we were waiting for exterior items to be finished up as part of the punch list for the actual CO. But today they finished up the sealing of the windows and the doors, correct? And then I believe the building official walked them with Megan as well. There's a couple other items that are outstanding that she wants to talk to the contractor or GM about. And I think we're just getting really close, and we just need to decide when to let to authorize us to get the partial CO, because at this point I think it's just small things, but that's a committee decision what they want to do. We're expecting those windows we keep talking about on the bay doors. We've been told for over a week we're getting them and we haven't, and I'm driving Megan crazy and the builder crazy because I just keep pounding them with emails. But some fun stuff we did just started discussing a ribbon cutting, and Megan's let me take full charge of planning that. And after doing some research, I realized October 26, 1970, I think 6 it was. So 49 years ago, that station opened up, station 340 under Chief Arnold Littell, so John's father. So I looked at the date, it happens to be a Saturday. So we figured do it on that date, make it somewhat special, give the contractor a little bit more time if he needs it. And then, so that will be exciting. I've been working on some things with that, so soon you'll get information on that to the council. But I think, yeah, so it's, you know how it is, Katie, at the end of it, you just keep pushing and pushing, and we're very close. Did I miss anything? Yeah, I got it. All right, great. Didn't know if there was an update since I saw you at 4:30.
Yeah, thank you. Any questions on the email? Okay. So we'll move on to town council liaisons. You want to start on this?
Sure. I attended the planning and zoning meeting last night, or most of it. It was a long meeting. They had a public hearing on two different items. One was regarding amending a zoning regulation to permit up to 5 commercial vehicles in the residential design district via special permit with certain restrictions that did not, the planning and zoning commission did not make that amendment ultimately. And they also had a public hearing regarding the affordable housing plan. So those are the two big things, in particular the zoning amendment, but that did not pass.
Thank you. Is the land acquisition advisory committee meeting soon?
Oh, thank you. Yeah, we're meeting Thursday night, I believe. I think to talk about the Tolland Marsh property, I think.
Yeah. Councilor Yudichak?
Sure. So the Commission with People with Disabilities met recently. You know, I believe they're going to be on the agenda for September 10th. Is that what Susan said? I think so. To go over the survey results that they've been working on. Just some of the examples would be the housing, employment, transportation, education, recreation that people are interested in for people with disabilities. I don't think we talked too much more about other things at that meeting.
No, just trying to get more organized for future goals.
Yeah. So that's really, I look forward to Susan and maybe others joining us that meeting. And that's all the results.
No committees that I'm a liaison met, but EDC has a meeting next week.
Councilor Buckler?
I have nothing. We have land acquisition on Thursday, but that's my next meeting.
Councilor Gray?
Yep, the Water Commission did meet. Unfortunately, I was not able to attend, so I have nothing to report on that side.
I attended Historic District Commission last week. The Historic District Commission did vote to request ARPA funding for streetlights. I think that request was voted on to go to the ARPA committee. I did let Councilor Yudichak and the town manager know about that. The other thing that the Historic District Commission talked about was the increase of, they're gonna request an increase for COA fees. And so I'm kind of expecting the planning office to come to town council for that. The reason that they wanna increase what they charge for COA fees is because these require public hearings, and the public hearings have to be posted in the newspaper, and the cost to do that has been going up. So instead of the town covering those costs, typically the fees for various permits would cover those costs, and because we are required by law to have those taken in a newspaper, it is now costing more. So now it's going to cost our residents more money to have a COA. I have added this to the list of things that I would like to mention to our legislative delegation when they come in next month. because it's unfortunate that we're asking, our residents to pay more money for something that, is set by private businesses, and we don't really have much control over. And also, people who want to make changes in the historic district are unique, where they have to have a COA for various things. Whereas if you don't live in the historic district and you want to put a new front porch on your home, you probably need a permit for that, but you don't need to pay the large, the fee for a COA. So it is impacting some of our residents differently than others. So that is one thing coming up. Yeah.
Can I ask you one question about Historic District Commission? A while back, we had received information about the Historic District Commission wanting to do work on the Tolland Jail Museum. And I was just thinking, are there any state grants or programs that they could seek funding through?
This wasn't actually the Historic District Commission making that request.
Oh, Historical
That was
Society.
coming from the Historical Society.
Oh, okay, thank you.
And maybe we can ask Brian that question when we get to town manager
Sure.
report. But yes, I have some information on that too.
Okay.
So, yes. All right, anything else? Yeah.
Yeah, so what was that about the ARPA committee again?
Sorry,
Oh.
Jacob, sorry, I didn't read those to you.
Yeah.
Everything did.
The Historic District Commission has streetlights on your list already. And they voted as a committee and unanimously to have their chair reach out to the ARPA subcommittee chair to ask for this to be considered as you're making final decisions.
Okay, I think there is a request.
It's been on a couple times, again, it's at $10,000. Have we ever seen anything at the
Yeah.
Well,
Okay,
but-
good to know it's.
Yeah,
right,
yeah, yeah.
Okay, yeah, and just, we. Requirement that it has to be published in newspapers.
Yeah.
I feel like that's like a. antiquated-
So we've asked CROG and CCM
On cost.
to really go after that. The problem is, I think, everyone asks that. In fact, when I go to, in a month or so, I go to the convention, I will vote number one to get rid of that dang cost. I mean, you're allowed to pick 5 things for them to go after. And everyone does. The problem is, if not that, then what? They're gonna have to formulate some sort of, online way to do it, and it's just, that is problematic, and no one's grabbed the bull by the horns and done it to this point that I can tell. So all the towns recognize that. We're getting raked over the coals here for 0 eyeballs, not 0, but very few eyeballs on what we put out there.
Yeah.
So I agree, but I want you to know that I'm at CCM begging them to push forward.
Yeah, that'd be very much appreciated.
Any idea why it doesn't ever, is it what I just said?
No, I think that there are 2 major obstacles from the legislative point of view on this. One is what else, like what do we have towns do instead, right? And that does require something, right? And there's been no agreement on what that is. And the second is that the newspaper lobby has been strong in making sure that stays in place.
Okay, yeah, makes sense, but definitely be good.
Yep, and I'm sure I fully expect that our legislative delegation is more than aware of the issue. And probably shares our frustration, and yet there has been no movement for well over 10 years on this. Yeah.
They wanted to rail it, but.
No,
Thought I'd bring it up.
yeah, absolutely. All right, any other, did I miss anybody? No, okay. So we will move on to item 8, which is new business. 8.1 is the consideration of a resolution approving the revised Department of Human Services case manager job description to reflect the addition of prevention specialist job responsibilities and approval of the use of the opioid settlement funds to cover said costs.
Thank you so much. So as you know, there was an opioid settlement where all the towns are getting some funding, and it's pretty narrow scope is how we can spend said funding. We had the prior to my arrival, the Commission on what was it? Mental health The Mental Health Task Force, thank you so much. Their recommendation was that the town, one of their main recommendations was that the town have a prevention specialist. So we decided when we got the settlement money to look into getting a prevention specialist. Our thoughts were to hire one externally. The trouble with that is when the money runs out, we lose that person. Also, it was incredibly costly to do that. So we were looking at 2 or 3 years of a prevention specialist, and then either looking to fund it or we lose it. But then Bev, our Human Services Director, Bev Bellady, and her staff came with an idea to train one of our current staff to said prevention specialist.
Right, Joe, could you mute yourself? I think you're cutting out everyone's audio. Thank you.
So basically, we want to rewrite the job description to have a position internally to be a sustainable and affordable prevention specialist on staff here in town to meet the recommendations of the task force. Obviously, I have Bev and her staff here today to explain more. Bev, you want to give it a brief overview?
I agree with that. And Teresa's been our Assistant Human Service Director, has been doing a lot of research with the other communities. I have to say towns are struggling with how to utilize this funding too. And we want it to be sustainable, beneficial for our residents, and that piece. And if you want to speak to that to some degree, but.
Yeah, the Eastern chapter has been meeting pretty frequently, and pretty much every town wants some type of prevention coordinator, but they're having a hard time with how many hours per week they even offer that person if they want it to last long term, so they're not able to move forward with that. So having Jill on staff, she's familiar with the community, she's already moving towards the prevention specialist credential, which a lot of towns just have a coordinator, and they haven't yet reached that credential, so she's gonna be doing that shortly, sitting for the exam. So we think that this would be a good way to align with the goals that the task force put forward. I mean, the goals were community education and engagement, and also increasing those resources and the referral list. And so Jill has already started both of those items. She created an individualized education plan for the community. And so she looked at what the needs were and what the substances used among each age and population were. So she made a targeted plan for the youth, for elders, for veterans. So it would be able to be broad reaching in the community, but also kind of hitting that prevention model for the young, for the youth as well. And then she made a referral network. So she made a resource guide. So she's just started to kind of, what would this look like if I were able to do this job? So she's already kind of jumped headfirst into how we can make this worth our while.
And also, as Brian said, this is gonna be more cost efficient. It allows us to use money for maybe some larger presentations with the community, to get some other resources and to do a collaborative prevention resource directory. So I think it's the best alternative.
I concur with them. When they came and approached me on it, obviously I was skeptical and worried about spending a penny here and there. But my concern was that we're not just gonna hang a sign on the door and now she's a prevention specialist. That there's training, that there's planning, and we are ahead of other towns already, as they mentioned, and it made financial sense. Everything about it made sense. My original, I was originally stuck on hiring someone from the Hockenham Valley, and then when they came to me with this idea, and they talked about the training, and again, she's a resident in town, knowledge, went through our school system. I recommend it.
Are there any questions from council members?
Yeah, no, first, just great to see, the fruits of that committee, or task force. We remember being on it, we talked a lot about this idea and exactly what form it would take. I think, like Brian said, it was initially kind of envisioned a partnership with HVCC, so it's great to see, it coming in-house. My question is, as far as like the responsibilities for the job, is it mainly focused on substance use, or will cover maybe some broader like mental health aspects as well?
And I'm certainly happy to let Jill speak to this, but we definitely wanted to also include a focus on positive mental health. A lot of the regional meetings that we go to, like we're a part of the Connecticut Suicide Advisory Board, and we go to meetings with Amplify, which is our region's overarching group that meets about these issues. Positive mental health and the substance use are directly connected, and so we wanted to tie both of those issues in.
And all of the prevention specialist training is very dual oriented.
there's definitely a focus, and that's my intention to focus on both in an equal manner.
Okay, that's great to hear that, yeah, so sometimes I think even our conversations about the committee, we obviously kind of drill down into substance abuse, which is also, it's a huge problem, but it was, more encompassing than that, so it's good to see that. And then, yeah, it looks like there's $100,000 in funds, so this should last now 10 years, 9 or 10 years roughly, inflation, so let's see.
And there's gonna be continuing litigation, so we're gonna receive additional funds as the years continue. They projected the next 17 years, we're gonna continue to receive funds, so even if, say, if this was supposed to last 10 years, but we wanted to hire a speaker or do programs, we would have some wiggle room to be able to do that.
Okay, all right, no, that's great to hear. That's all.
Thank you.
I just want to thank all of you for all the work you're doing. I think that's fantastic. I think, as Councilor Martin said, bringing it in-house is a great idea. Jill, thank you for taking this on, and it's really important work. So thank all of you. I think it's a great idea.
I think I just have a couple of questions. So people need to come in for services. Do you have a setup how that's gonna work? Because it was, if I remember, I feel like the task force was a couple of years ago now, but I think it was based on if people needed services like they do now, they would contact your office. Is, obviously probably promote that? Is there certain times? Have you thought about all those kind of conditions for the community?
Yeah, that's a great question. So it would start with the intake assessment. And so Jill has been trained in certain assessments to complete, things like the Columbia scales that, screen for depression, anxiety, suicidality. And in the same way that a lot of other mental health professionals, we would know what acuity we're able to accept. And so if someone comes in with active ideation or, very intoxicated or things that we don't feel are appropriate to treat at our level, that's where our referral network would come in, which is the same as other urgent crisis centers across the state. They kind of all have their threshold of what they'll see and what needs to be seen by perhaps an emergency department, but it would start with a meeting with Jillian for that intake, for that assessment, and then from there it would really determine, do they need counseling? Do they need a referral to treatment? Are they in recovery and just needed someone to talk to that day? It really depends, I think, on the person. And so for that individualized treatment model, that's what that would look like, whereas the community engagement and education would be more pre-planned, more outreach, things like that. Does that answer that question?
Yeah, it does. I see the school superintendent, everything's here, so it just came to mind, like, would you be working in sync with the public school systems at all? If they need assistance, I know they have their great psychologists and their staff and everything, but
It's a real collaborative model.
Okay.
And the other part is to seek out the mental health services out there. We can still refer to Hockenham Valley.
Yeah.
Because they have those services in-house in the village and other. But just having the time to really develop more of that collaborative model and resources and, being a one person name basis, I think it's going to be great. Jill's already done a lot of that work on her own already, so.
that's great.
It's a wonderful opportunity for us.
Yeah, it's a great idea. You got a great team and, they finally face it, so that's always important when somebody needs help, that they go to somebody that looks like they're,
Yeah, we did freshman orientation on Monday at the high school, and one of the kids was like, "Oh, you guys are the ones that say not to vape," and they remembered our. So they're starting to have that association with us, and with Lincoln, we brought our therapy dog with us. So they're starting to see us as those people.
Yeah.
But then we also just have those other populations in mind, those older adults who might need something a little bit different.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thank you for doing that. That's a great opportunity. It's nice. I should reach out to Becky more and tell her.
Yeah.
Something's come to fruition. So yeah, thank you.
Councilor Buckley?
Hi. So first I wanted to say I think this is a great addition. I live this on a daily basis at work, and I think it's much needed because it seems like there's a lot of resources out there, but when you actually start looking for contacts and individuals to help for these situations, sometimes it falls short, or there's just so much need that it's hard to get referrals for things. I guess my question is this gonna be, for all different types of referrals? Or is it just strictly outpatient referrals, or do you help people get beds for inpatient?
Yep, so our referral network that we're building so far has services for inpatient, outpatient, crisis, some funded versus operated through DEMIS. And so we're building upon it, but we're gonna try to serve all aspects of that to make sure everyone who needs help can receive it.
And what are you guys doing to kind of get, or what are you thinking of doing to kind of get the word out there so people are aware that these services are available?
We started with the youth and we introduced Paws Up for prevention. Dogs are very well liked around this town, so we've used our therapy dog as kind of our mascot for that. And so a lot of kids flocked to our table to pet Lincoln and they got out the word there. So we worked on some branded materials with that in mind. But Jill's targeted it to each age group so that, you know, Paws Up for prevention is very cute for the youth, but what's appropriate for the veterans. And so she's worked in some ways to target that, but we're definitely going to be doing outreach in the community. We're going to have to do educational campaigns. Part of the local prevention council funding comes from Amplify, and the funding is for things like this, public service, mentioning what resources we have. And we have some upcoming initiatives for 988 Day, which is coming up quickly, to, you know, talk about suicide and where you can go for help. So we thought that might be a good avenue, should we all agree that this is something to move forward with.
And I guess my last question is, as far as access to the community, I know transportation can sometimes be an issue getting to and from outpatient programs, but also getting to any residential programs or getting to a bed just in general. Is that something you guys would be able to help with?
So I can tell you some towns have talked about that exact issue and a model for it using the opioid funds and kind of having part of it be for those emergency situations or those, you know, they've called it a couple different things, but a scholarship, for example, to get someone to one of those beds. And so the opioid funds can in fact be used for things like this. So it could be something we target using the opioid funds, but it also could be something built into some of our local prevention council funding if we feel like that's a really big barrier.
Thank you so much.
Valley, using their dial rate services to get people, because they have clinicians on staff, so we've had that conversation with them as well.
Thank you. I really appreciate your answers.
Any other questions? Is there a motion then to approve the resolution outlined in 8.1 in our agenda?
So moved.
Moved by Councilor Moran, is there a second?
I'll second the motion.
Second by Councilor Murray, is there any further discussion? Okay, we'll do roll call vote. Councilor Buckler,
Aye.
Councilor Shay,
Aye.
Councilor Moran,
Aye.
Councilor Yudichak,
Aye.
Councilor Murray,
Aye.
and I'm also an aye, so that is unanimous, thank you. Item number 8.2 on the agenda is a resolution for the 2024 Department of Aging and Disability Services Grant Award appropriation for a pickleball court at the senior center in the amount of $67,951.
Great, so thank you, Chair. So this is a resolution regarding the putting a dedicated pickleball court to our seniors at the senior center, going in the location where there was a garden that was well intended, never really took off. We got funding, ARPA funding, specifically designated for senior centers, and then some internal funding out of the senior center to pay for the entirety of the 67,951 to pay for the pickleball court. With us, we have Kim Kowalshin, our senior center director, Bev Bellady, and also Megan Massa as well.
Wonderful.
For any
I
questions.
don't think Kim is here. Oh, Kim's online?
Yep.
Okay, wonderful. Sorry. Okay. Are there any questions then regarding this item and potential resolution?
Yeah, so just a question on the donation. So it says donation made to the senior center. So that's like a private donation?
Correct.
Okay. So I think I misread that. That's from the senior center. To the senior center. That's
Yep.
pretty much the end of my question. Okay, that's it.
So with the donation and then with the grant, the town is not gonna be expending like any funds that we weren't planning to or anything like that?
Correct.
Okay.
Any other questions? So my question is, this had been canceled and then it came back up?
So I think what had happened was, they had reallocated some of the remaining funds that had been unspent. And I think they were accepting applications up until the point that that decision had been made. So they reviewed our application, we had made it in before that decision was, unfortunately made. Our application was reviewed and approved, it just took a little bit longer to get, some of those answers, we were on hold for an uncomfortably long period of time, but, we were successful, so, happy to be selected.
So sorry, so we got it because you were so quick in getting our application in before they decided to do away with the program?
Yeah, applications were being accepted, I think, through the end of June.
Yeah.
Our application went in April. And we were not expecting them to make that kind of a decision, but that just happened like in the budget discussions. And it was just fortunate that our application was in, before they had made that determination.
Yeah, thank you, I mean, for all the work you do for grants, but thank you for getting it in so quickly, because that's why the town's benefiting from it, so that's great.
Thanks.
Kudos, because lots of people didn't get that money.
Yeah.
So,
Thank you to all involved.
yeah, yes. Thank you. Any other questions about this? Okay, so is there a motion then to approve the resolution outlined in agenda item?
So moved.
Moved by Councilor Murray, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Councilor Brand. Any further discussion? Okay, we'll do a roll call vote then. Councilor Buckler,
Hi.
Councilor Shay,
Aye.
Councilor Moran,
Aye.
Councilor Yudichak,
Aye.
Councilor Murray.
Aye.
I'm also an aye, so that is unanimous, thank you. Agenda item 8.3 is a discussion for a 3-year check-in on the Education Reserve Fund ordinance.
All right, thank you. And so this is the, again, as you just stated, every 3 years we review the ERF, Educational Reserve Fund. That's any unexpected funds coming out of the BOE go into the ERF, providing it does not exceed 1% of the total budgeted appropriations for the Board of Education. This is a every 3-year review of that. For any questions with us, we have obviously again Lisa Hancock and Dr. Willett here as well, and our Board of Ed Chair Tony Holt also here.
Okay.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, Brian.
All right, right.
Brian,
Oh, right, sorry.
my bad.
Sorry.
My bad.
That's fine.
Are there any questions, anything council wants to start off with? Wanna ask the board? Yeah, go ahead.
I just have one question, and someone can correct me if I'm wrong. I think under the general statutes, our town ordinance would be allowed, it doesn't provide for it now, up to 2%. I know that the board is requesting any changes at this point. Is that because the Board of Ed's budget is so being managed so effectively that we don't end up with 2% left? I'm just curious why we don't.
Clarification, we would like, in fact, that's what we'd like to discuss here. You are absolutely correct, Councilor, in that the statute changed. And as you pointed out, in that change, it allows up to 2%. Now, we have historically, at least as far as the information Dr. Willis never booked, we've not come close. But in the interest of ensuring that our town statutes are aligned with the state statute, we would like to increase that to the not to exceed value of 2%.
Okay, so the Board of Ed is looking for that change. Okay, thank you.
What are the procedures that would be needed in order to make that change?
We'd have to, Lisa, do you want to explain? We'd have to change the definition of the fund, I believe. Lisa, would that require a public hearing?
Yes, this is an ordinance. So because it is an ordinance, you would have to set a public hearing. You would put your draft change to the ordinance out there and set a public hearing, and then after going through a public hearing, you can change the ordinance online for any type of change that you would do to it.
Thank you. Any other questions?
Just so procedurally, so is it something that the council would put on a future agenda to discuss? Just because I wasn't aware that they were, I think it deserves a conversation, for sure. I thought that our information was that there was not a change we sought, so I think, but I completely understand why a change would be sought, so, is that right? We would just put this on a future agenda to discuss whether we want to change the ordinance?
We could talk about it right now, as we have some people in the room who may have more knowledge.
That's true.
And I think typically in order to set a public hearing, we do like to kind of put it on the agenda, the council agenda. So it would go to, I would ask to see that the decision to go to a public hearing be put on a future agenda.
Right, okay.
And then we vote then
Sure.
to have a public hearing. But I think if there are questions about making a change, while we have these knowledgeable people in the room, we might as well ask them.
Yeah.
Or discuss with them what they're thinking.
Yeah, I just have one question on, again, procedure about how the money gets into ERF now. So whether it's 1% now or if the ordinance was changed to 2%, that comes to council, right? Does the Board of Ed automatically put that in, or does that decision come to council under the current?
Yeah, at the end of the fiscal year, the dollars the Board of Ed has roll over to the town, and then the Board of Ed makes a request that money be put into the ERF fund up to 1%. But usually it's a specific amount that it's asking.
Okay.
So we'll end the year, let's say we ended the year with $76,000, which roughly we did this year. In the third quarter of the fiscal year after the audit, the Board of Ed would make an official request to move that to the educational reserve fund of the town.
Katie, I'm sorry to interrupt.
Yeah.
Would it be possible for them to move to the table? It's kind of hard to hear on Zoom.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Councilor Buckler. You guys mind moving to the table just so we can hear you a little bit better? Thank you so much.
So just to reiterate, it sounds like once whatever's left over, the board after the end of the fiscal year would make a request to council. It certainly seems to make sense to me if the statutes allow up to 2%, we're already talking about money that has been, approved through the budget process, through the referendum process as money for Board of Education. It certainly makes sense to me that it would be increased to 2%. And in any event, it comes before council. So, but I think it's a logical request.
It's unfortunate that we weren't told that we would discuss this, especially seeing Tony's acceptance conversation. You brought it up right away. So it's frustrating that we're just hearing about this, and I think it put especially me in a odd.
Well, I'm just hearing about it.
I mean, because I'm on my phone with everything.
Yeah, well, I just heard about it as well. The information we had was, the information that we had was that they were not seeking a change. So I was confirmed.
Yeah, we didn't know.
In our
I
packet,
was
none of
told
us-
that they were not asking for a change. So this is new.
I would have numbers, this is typical 1%, 2%, that sort of thing.
The statute has been changed. And I did ask for reference to the statute in the packet, which I believe is now there. So I read the statute and read the change in the statute.
And in the packet, we have information that says they were not seeking a change. So that was
Yes.
what my question was.
No, it's fine. It's just if we knew during the discussion. it would've
I
been,
agree. I would
you
like
know,
to.
Poor Tony, if we thought we were gonna discuss it.
No, that's
we could
fine,
have
and my
had-
apologies. We discussed this, the board, we discussed this in our finance and facilities meeting, and at our last meeting is when I got the recommendation from my committee. When we were invited to this meeting, there was just a little bit of communication. We asked about the format and stuff. And that's my apologies for not cycling back around and at least notifying the council of our intentions. Recognizing, as I don't recall if it was the chair or who was talking about the procedure, recognizing that there's a question and answer period today. From what I understand, there'll also be an opportunity when it comes on the agenda for further deliberations and considerations. The board is ready from now through then to field additional questions and provide the information that you require.
Yeah, so Dr. Willa, you said you finished this year, last fiscal year, I guess, about 76,000. Of course, that can't go into the ERF for another several months because audit has to be done. So I'd also assume you're probably not close to 1%. So what I'm trying to say is, it sounds like we have plenty of time to deliberate on this request. So I think it would probably be most appropriate, maybe if we do have this as a future agenda item, just to talk about a little bit more detail.
Yep.
But appreciate hearing it from you, Tony, and Dr. Willett tonight to start that conversation.
And we agree. It's not hard. We did want to take this opportunity, particularly since, as Town Manager Foley brought up, it's only once every 3 years that we're mandated to review this. And it just happens to be fortuitous that the statute changed recently. And we just want to make sure that we get it on the record, we get the request in, and then if the appropriate cycle makes its way through, that it can be deliberated and adjusted accordingly.
I guess for more.
Absolutely, please.
I mean, is there anything else, Tony, that you want to talk about with regards to the ERF, or is this kind of the main?
This is the main station. There's certainly, and reviewing the statute changes, there were little bitty, for lack of a better term, tweaks that as we reviewed it, we really determined that in the big picture of it, we're not really critical enough that they mandated a change. That 2% as the not to exceed, it is just one that we think that alignment is important. I'll make sure that gets codified.
2%.
Not to exceed that.
Yeah, not to exceed 2%, which these days is probably roughly 900,000.
And that's what Dr. Willett's done copious amounts of research to fund the questions coming out of the board from historical values, and even during the COVID years, how close did we get? And to your point, while 1% has classically been, we've been under there. Again, it's an alignment question at this point.
Okay. Thank you for.
Councilor Shea?
Yeah, so I kind of agree with Colleen. I think we're sort of being hit with this by quite a surprise, and it'd be better that it's put on a future agenda where we can understand that this question was being raised, and then we could have time to sort of come up with the kind of questions that we want to ask. I mean, it seems to me odd that you comment that we've never come close to 1%, and now we're looking for 2%. Like, what's the reason other than, well, the statute now says we can go up to 2%, so let's go in line with the statute if we're not even close. And then secondly, if our budget shoots over by 900,000, people are going to obviously question the legitimacy of the budget at the beginning of the fiscal year, when now, lo and behold, we've got an extra $900,000 that came out of nowhere that we can put into the reserve. So I just question a few things as to why all of a sudden now it seems like we need a 2% instead of a 1%. But again, I think this is not the time, because we were sort of this was thrown at us as quite a surprise. So I think we should wait for another time.
So Councilor Shea, I would just reiterate, I apologize if you missed what I said earlier. Oh, okay. So Was there a question then? You seem to be approaching this as if you didn't hear what I said.
No, I did hear what you said, but I don't recall, like, when I looked at the agenda, that it said we're going to discuss increasing, that the Board of Ed wanted to discuss a 2% increase. I didn't see that on the agenda.
That's correct.
Right.
So I'm gonna reiterate what I said, just because it feels a little bit like maybe you didn't hear what I said. We do have the Board of Ed members here with us tonight. So now that they have made that request, I did encourage council members to ask these questions. I also did state that if we were going to have a discussion about changing the ordinance, that it would be my request that we have a agenda item to have that discussion before a public hearing is set. So your inference that we need to have a second meeting about this has already been addressed. Did you have any further questions?
No, my comment, I understand that completely, Kate. My comment is that what's being presented now should have been presented more clearly as to why these guys are even showing up tonight.
Well, they're here to talk about the ERF, which is, the statute is listed in our ordinance and is available at any time for anyone to look up. The statute, as our Board of Ed chair did explain, has just recently changed. That is easy to see if you reference the statute, which is included in our packet. And a question was asked to the council and answered of the Board of Ed, so we're continuing that conversation.
Yeah, that's fine, Kate. Good for you.
And Madam Chair, if I may, in regards to the timing of it, and well, you know, the board reviewed, and really in this case, it's just taking advantage of the 3-year review cycle as it came up. We were notified that this meeting, you know, that this was on the agenda when the chair reached out to us, when the agenda was sent to us. We discussed we discussed the statute change. We discussed what our recommendation was going to be, as I mentioned, both in the Board FFC committee meeting and in the last Board of Education meeting. In future occasions, I would be absolutely happy to reach out to the Board of Ed liaison, to the town council, and communicate those with them, or even invite them to our meetings when those are going to be discussed. There's nothing nefarious here. We simply want to be a part of the process so that we can see these changes again.
Absolutely. Before we go to the second time, Councilor Buckner, did you have any questions?
I'm trying to catch everything that everyone's saying. It's a little hard when people are talking over each other. And just to reiterate a little bit for me, just to make sure I understand. So it sounds like we are going to continue a conversation and ask questions if we have questions, but we are setting this for a future date prior to a public hearing. Did I catch that correctly?
We can do that.
I appreciate that they're coming here. I don't think that there's malicious intent. I don't think that they're rushing us into this process. I mean, I'm open for discussion. I obviously would like to have some more numbers available if that would help in the decision-making process, and especially if we're going to be opening this to a public hearing. But I feel like rather than getting personalities involved, maybe we should just listen and keep an open mind to things, because it doesn't seem like something we should be getting so worked up about.
Thank you. I have a couple questions. First of all, I do want to thank the town staff. When I saw a draft of this agenda, the staff was kind enough to add some numbers to the packet to give us a little bit of background when I asked that question. So thank you very much to town staff to add that. On page 27 of our packet is Historical Education Reserve Fund financial activity. This is in the revised packet because this was the version that was sent out on Monday. This is the addition to that packet. from this, Dr. Willett and Chairman Holt, it looks like there was maybe 2 years since this fund was created where you might have approached 1% deposit into the ERF. Am I reading that right? In fiscal year 19 and fiscal year 22?
Well, I think for 19 and 22, these are not, this is what's in the account as a balance.
Oh, these aren't the deposits
Right,
into
they're
the
not the
account?
deposits, so we have not gotten close to 1%, not 2% in the deposits, but they're at one point, during all the state budget crisis, the COVID stuff, when you see that bump up, it really has to do with the state budget crisis, or, back into 18, 19, and
Sure.
then all the way through COVID, that's
Yep.
where it got higher. But those, what you're seeing in the bottom fund balance is the actual balance of it, not what was deposited at the time. Deposits are smaller.
Okay, I was reading the revenue line as the deposit line.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay, well, it's still, you're not getting close to the 2%.
No, not to 2%.
Right.
You're close to 1%
Okay.
on those years.
Yes,
And
you did get, I'm sorry, I
yeah.
didn't understand that.
It's okay, I apologize for not being
The
clear.
one, we did get close to 1% in fiscal year 22.
Okay, and those are due to that actually tracks are very much gut checks with the state budget crisis and COVID. So other years, the deposits to ERF have been lower. Some years it's 0. I want to just reiterate or ask you to reiterate why you would be asking for an increase from 1% to 2% if you haven't hit the 1% number yet.
And again, it's the alignment. When the state statute changes and sets certain limitations or certain avenues, I think it's important that our town matches those, so that there is no discontinuity, there's no confusion, everything's aligned, and we know what the rules are.
Sure. And can you just give us maybe a brief understanding, a brief overview of how you use the ERF funds?
Yeah, it's right now the ERF can be utilized for special education, for capital, or for IT technology expenses. In the history of the Ordinance 86, Chapter 8, there were more things it could originally be used for, and then it was narrowed to those 3. So at this time, that's roughly what they can be used for. And so in the last budget cycle, there were also some uses of it that would lower the balance we have right now on paper. That 329 is actually not what we'll have once we make the final request. It's about 143, for instance. But it's been utilized very well and very flexibly for things like special education and overruns and special ed transport, things like that. So it's been highly useful for its flexibility. I think the town has the 10% threshold. It's just one of those things that since it's state law, since the law allows it, why not provide the flexibility for it, to make it consistent with the state law. And the goal is to continue to utilize it in the way it's been utilized, which is just to make sure that if we're prepared for overruns, and especially given the budget dynamics these days and special ed, those costs across the state are out of control for all districts. So having flexibility, rainy day is really important, and that just allows us to have even more flexibility should an opportunity arise.
Do you use these funds for operating expenses?
No, no, it's capital, it's IT, special education, those 3 things under the ordinance currently as it's written. The law also has evolved over the span of time. Section 7 has changes, Section 8 has changes, there's many changes. The only change the board was asking for was no 2%. The changes actually are robust on the board side, so the board's request is really only to go up to 2%. There are other things the board could be requesting, but it's not.
Sure. Perhaps Ms. Hancock, so for example, it looks like in fiscal year 24, the Board of Ed deposited their unused budget funds of $172,500. For fiscal year 24, what was the town's budget differential from budgeted to actual.
For what? You mean what the town did not spend?
Yeah.
Oh. You know, I don't have that number off the top of my head.
Was it, I mean,
It was in that quarterly report for the estimate. It might have been a couple $100,000, but I don't want to give incorrect information. I can get it to you.
no, it's okay. And so to understand the mechanics, of the Board of Ed side versus the town side, right now, the town, if we have, extra money, unspent funds left over at the end of the fiscal year, where do those funds go?
Fund balance.
And can the town council, utilize those funds from fund balance, at any time?
Yes.
And does the board,
Vote
so
for
the Board of
supplemental
Ed,
appropriations.
oh, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
You can vote, you know, depending on what you would like. For example, we just took a little bit out for the water testing. You can vote special resolutions to do supplemental appropriations where necessary or when you desire.
Okay. But this is, am I correct that this is the only fund that the Board of Ed has accessible if unanticipated costs come up for things like Dr. Willett mentioned, special education, things that might change throughout a year unexpectedly?
It is a special fund that helps with that purpose. And it does it does set aside funds for specific purposes. And that's why there was special legislation to help protect Board of Education for their funds to be able to have some sort of a reserve. However, if there were a crisis, something major that happened, there's times that they would maybe have to come back to the town council and ask for money from fund balance. Normally, the Board of Education tries to manage within their budgeted line amount that's authorized at referendum. And it would go through the same process. If they came back and asked for more money, depending on the amount, it would have to go to a public hearing. Town council would have to approve it to go to a public hearing and so on.
In your experience with Hancock, has that ever happened? While you've been in your position with town?
Not of any great extent. In the years ago, we used to have, and we changed the charter to allow, there were special revenues that the Board of Education would get for little reimbursements and grants and things like that. And it was like 1,000 here, 1,000 there. We were having to go to public hearing for everything. It was costing a lot of money, more than what they were even asking for. So, back many years ago, there were little appropriations added from fund balance to the Board of Education based on revenue they received. The process was changed, but nothing of any magnitude that I can recall that I've worked, with working for the town of Basking. The only thing I can comment about, there were 2 years. One had to do with that year, I think it was back in 2018 or so. You're going to probably see over 300,000 added in one of the balances. That year, it came very close to the 2% mark of what was left over because of all the chaos with the state funding, us not getting a budget adopted. The Board of Education had to put freezes in place. So that one year, it did hit almost the 2% mark. What the council did agree to do was to put money aside not only for their 1% fund, but also into capital, like to fund certain capital projects for the Board of Ed. Same thing happened during COVID times, and the council set up a special short-term COVID reserve fund to help manage through that time, as well as so those 2 instances probably ran close to your time where you could have hit 2%. In most instances, the board doesn't hit that amount. They usually spend a majority of their budget.
Thank you. Much appreciated. Anything else you guys wanna add about this?
I think I'm good. And to the point, we are absolutely willing to come back.
Wonderful, thank you. And I did just want to clarify or reiterate that I was not aware prior to Mr. Holt's comments that a request was being made for a change in this, despite the comments of other council members. I was not. So we'll go around again. Council Moran.
Yeah, so I just want to clarify something for the record, because I really resent Councilor Yuchek's implication or insinuation that I had some knowledge of this before this meeting. In preparation for this meeting, like I do for every meeting, I reviewed the materials and I noticed the discrepancy or the difference between the general statutes and our ordinance. I can't seem to find it now in the packet. I thought that there was no request to change the ordinance. That's why I phrased the question the way I did. I'm not prepared to have any substantive in-depth conversation about changing it at this point because I didn't think there was a request. I don't think that's because there's any bad faith on the part of the Board of Education, but I want to clarify crystal clear that I did not know that that was the case. I really resent Councilor Yuchek's statement to the contrary. Oh, thank you. In agenda item 8.3 in the background, it says that the superintendent of public schools discussed the ordinance with the town manager. No changes were requested or suggested at this time. So that was the information that I and any counselor who was preparing for this meeting in advance had. So, and I'm absolutely happy to have this conversation going forward, but I didn't have any greater knowledge. Thank you.
Councilor Buckler.
Hi. I feel like I'm at a disadvantage being on Zoom because I'm kind of missing bits and pieces of comments, but I guess I'll start with I'll echo. I was not aware at all. I'm homesick with a kid, or I'm home with a sick kid, so that's kind of been my focus. But I did review the packet, and I was kind of aware going into this that there had been some changes. With that being said, I had a couple follow-up questions as far as the changes to the state statutes. When did this change go into effect?
To the top. As I said, it's Public Act number 24-45.
So that's a 2024.
2024 change, yeah.
So this year.
Yes.
Okay. You know, it would make sense that you would ask for the change because why wouldn't you want to allow yourself more flexibility, even if historically you don't have anywhere near close to 2%? If the statute allows for it and it changes, I mean, I think it would be reckless and foolish of the Board of Ed not to ask for the change just to give themselves a cushion. Could you tell me that have you looked into historically, what other towns in the areas have, like when these statutes change, do they typically change their ordinance as well? I mean, what do other towns in Connecticut do?
I mean, I think it varies. I think we can go and look to pull that kind of information if you want. I think that there was a desire for that in 2022 change, and that's why it changed. So I think it's something that many places do, and we could get more information for you if you want it.
And I guess my other question, and you might not have the answer to this right now, but what was the basis for the change in the Connecticut legislature? So obviously they changed the statute for a reason. It wasn't just because they woke up one day and felt like changing it. Was there what was the basis for the change?
Is she asking us?
I guess I'm asking you, but if you don't have the answer, that's fine. I just don't know.
I always want to make sure I'm not stepping on somebody's toes. I would conjecture that
boards of ed were really looking to be able to manage fluctuations and things, especially like special education. There were so many things in the state that were changing for school districts that created a kind of posed a threat to boards. And boards didn't want to be in a position of coming back to towns asking for funds from towns, and these fluctuations in special ed would be so big and things related to it would be so big that I think it was one of the driving factors in making sure that there was something available, when it's not raining, so to speak, to use the terminology I've heard used, to have something when that rainy day comes, so that you're not putting an additional burden on a town, and that there are funds to absorb it. I think also when where is an opportunity for a board in a year that, for instance, that state budget crisis where there's funds that are unutilized because of the crisis, then there can be capital expenses with that that are funded through that ERF fund, so that the town doesn't actually have to bond or allocate for anything through its formal capital budget process. Boards of ed can manage it themselves, and actually Tolland did do some of that during some of those years. So there's great opportunities for boards of ed to be able to have a rainy day fund, and then create less of a burden on the municipal budgets, because they can turn to that rainy day fund for things like those fluctuations in special ed, fluctuations in capital needs. And that's why I think they've been popular, and that the state of Connecticut did see the reason and the rationale to raise that, because it actually helped boards manage their affairs very effectively and put less burden on municipalities because of it.
But if I remember correctly, we will have the legislature here, or at least portions of it.
Or delegation.
Delegation, so we can ask.
It would be nice to know kind of the background behind it and what were the discussions, because, again, when a statute's changed, there's great discussion as to why are we changing this and what's the basis of changing this. So, at a municipal level, you would think you would want to follow suit so you're in line with state statutes, since, it's frankly, it's bigger than us. So you don't really want to fall behind if there's a basis for changing it. And again, I don't know exactly, all the ins and outs of this. And I know I think we had like one of the meeting minutes from the Board of Ed attached to our packet, but it wasn't super clear what had been discussed in that meeting. So it would be nice for us to know a little bit more before making the decision on this. But I appreciate you coming in and answering our questions, since frankly, we can't be experts in every field. So
Thank you, Councilor Buckler. Is there any other questions, concerns, comments?
I'll just make a comment. So, it's important that you are being on the Board of Ed. So I think Jen made a lot of good comments as far as state statute and, what makes us different and things like that. I don't know if you can find out, you're really busy on your own stuff, but what other towns are doing. Do other towns have, what's that?
We can take that.
You know what I mean? Like, you don't have to go through maybe 5 towns. I know you're busy, Dr. Willett, but maybe that to see if they're, I'm sorry, I didn't cut you off.
Oh, no, I said that would be easy. I
Okay.
can just make a few phone calls and find out.
Yeah, just to see if they're switching or what the standard, what people are doing. So that's just all.
Just one last note. I want to touch base on, the timing of it to the point that I believe a few of you councilors made. No, we did not notify anybody on the council of our intent to make this change. Madam Chair, Councilor Moran, Councilor Murray, nobody knew. My interpretation of what this meeting was going to be was the discussion. That this is when we would bring those things up, both from our side, from the town side. We would produce what at work we would call a red line document that would then get discussed and go on agenda. So for future reference, we'll be happy to send those ahead of time so that we can discuss here. But in the interest of maintaining peace and harmony, we did not notify anybody before this.
And just for clarification and confirmation, the Board of Ed is requesting that we change our ordinance and simply to increase the amount of ERF from 1% to 2%. That's the only change that's being asked.
Not to exceed it.
Town manager, it would be great to have this added to a future agenda for the council to discuss.
Concur. I'm gonna have it on my list of things to put on. I didn't know.
Yeah, I know. All right. Well, thank you, gentlemen, very much for attending and answering all our questions. It's much appreciated.
Do you want us to stay here for the next item?
If you want to, yeah. I think that has to do with you too, so.
I like the efficiency.
Yeah. The next item on our agenda is consideration and potential action on renewal of the Fields and Grounds maintenance agreement between the town and the Board of Education.
Obviously, thank you, Chair. Obviously, there's great overlap in town property, school property, and the maintenance thereof from fields and grounds, snow, everything. And we have a pretty good agreement drawn up. This is the request to approve it as it is. There were some minor changes, some maps were updated. We got rid of some portable classrooms, that was changed on there, and we'd like to push it out, I guess, 3 years. We don't have to talk to it again for 3 years, but things are going pretty good. I'm happy to talk about it again in 25 years, but 3 years seems decent. With us, obviously, I have Dr. Willett and Paul Russell from DPW to discuss any fine points of this.
Council Mari.
Yeah, just reading through the summary of changes. It said that there were changes to the attendees for the annual meeting. Like, who's attending them now, and what's the proposed change?
Right now, go ahead, Dr. Willett, if you want to say, but it's basically DPW, you and me, right?
Yeah, it's just the town staff leadership. You're probably gonna change.
Yeah, probably me, and this is like a 2-second conversation with Walt and I, in our bi-weekly meeting. Yeah, we've already talked about it more than Walt and I have discussed it. So but really it's between Paul and Pete. It gets done behind the scenes of where they are. It doesn't have any real fiscal impact here.
Okay. And so if we would vote on this, BOE would go in turn? Okay, so you haven't yet taken this into consideration.
We have.
You're not gonna want to change it, are you?
No, they've already, the board's already seen.
We've seen it.
Okay.
We've
Oh, you have, okay, so.
And technically, it's usually signed by the town manager and the superintendent. It typically hasn't.
Really gone to council.
Legislative action.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I remember talking about this on the board, but it's been a while, so good to get a refresher. But yeah, I don't remember there being really any issues. I think it's a good agreement.
And with this one particularly,
Yeah.
Because in previous times it's, largely gone under the radar. The board and our committees took a look, reviewed it, asked Dr. Willett clarification questions, and came to essentially the same conclusion that Mr. Foley just brought up. It's a good agreement that's been working well, that empowers our staff to do what needs to be done. So the board likes it.
Okay. No, seems a good idea. So.
Any other questions? Thank you, 1 minute. Any other questions? Sorry, just we had a technical issue. There is a draft resolution in our packet. Agenda item 8.4, the resolution on page 45. Is there a motion to approve this resolution?
So moved.
Moved by Councilor Moran. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Councilor Mari. Is there any further discussion about this item? I'd just like to say I'm glad it's working out. I think this is a great example of partnership between among the town and Board of Ed, and an excellent use of resources, shared resources. So thank you everyone for bringing this to us. We will do a roll call vote at this point. Counselor Buckler.
Aye.
Counselor Shay.
Aye.
Counselor Moran.
Aye.
Counselor Yudichak.
Aye.
Counselor Mari.
Aye.
And also an aye. Unanimous. Thank you. Thank you very much for coming.
Thanks, Paul.
Attending.
Thank you guys for coming. Appreciate it.
Bringing young people to our meetings. This is all great. Thank you.
That's my buddy, guy.
Yeah. 8.5 is appointments to vacancies on various municipal boards and commissions.
So we have 4 appointments to fill the vacancies on the Urban Celebration Committee. I want to thank the town manager and Sarah Beth for putting in a lot of effort to, they hosted a meeting with people who are interested in really trying to get the PCC back up to full staff, and they've done a fantastic job at that. So after these individuals, I think there'll just be one vacancy left that the town manager and Sarah Beth already have leads on. So thank you both for all your hard work on that. So yeah, it's Peter Swan, Rebecca Gilbert Johnson, Tanya Evanson, and Trisha Byam. I think they all went through the vetting committee, and as well as speaking with the town manager and Sarah Beth. So I think they would all be excellent additions to the PCC.
Any further comments, questions, discussion?
I'll just say something. They're great people. I know, especially Trisha Byam. She's done a lot for the school, so I saw her today too. She's gonna be a great asset, and I'm sure they're all neighbors. Live on the same road, so great work for her. So anyways, it's gonna be great. And we got Jim here. It's us on the committee, and then good. Glad.
Great job on
Yeah.
getting so many people to volunteer. I know we had a little bit of a crisis on our hands, and it seems like we've come a long way.
That's not a crisis. I've seen crises in my career. Not one of them, but yes, we'll see how those- Thank you, Sarah Beth. Thanks to all the people for stepping up. And, and we're in a good spot. And Jim, great. We have a wealth of experience on there. As Colleen said, Trisha, I mean, that's, I don't know if you know Linda Byam, but those two are sister-in-laws, the thieves, and they're the same person. They're just she's going to be fantastic. I can't wait. I already work with her sister-in-law on so many other things. So I had an in-depth conversation with her today. She speaks the language. She's done a lot of volunteer work in the past. Former school teacher. It's a home run for us. She's been a lot on different commissions and committees throughout her life. So very strong. All these women and Mr. Swan. Peter's just energetic, positive person, and that's what I like to see on the PCC is the positivity. So we're in good shape, and let's start looking at the other places that need more volunteers now.
Yes. Question about just this table. I was looking through it. Question about another board. Is that right?
Go ahead.
So the Board of Assessment Appeals have 3 people. Oh, sorry, I'm just misreading stuff. Look at the Board of Building Appeals that has 5 vacancies. I was wondering why you make all the alternates full time, but it's different boards. Okay, disregard that.
Got it.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you for pointing that out. Councilor Butler?
Thanks. So, obviously my one question is, are we on for a September meeting? Because I'm looking forward to getting back to a PCC meeting. So do we have enough people now to have a quorum to have a September meeting?
We don't know. You have to approve them, then I'll know.
Well, assuming that they get approved.
Okay, then yes, we will. We've already discussed it with all of them in September meeting. We're already lining stuff up for the agenda to include. They have to approve monies to be spent on a musician at the Harvest Fest and those sort of things. So while the Harvest Fest planning is ongoing and going well, there's certain functions we need voted on by the PCC. So
Fantastic.
September 18th is the meeting, and at this point, and we're gonna move forward with it. I'll attend. We'll work with Kathy on opening the meeting, electing a chair. And we have one or two perfect candidates for that spot, and we'll move forward.
Fantastic. I'm looking forward to it.
Any other questions? Is there a motion then to approve these 4 appointments to PCC?
I'll make the motion.
Moved by Counselor Buckler, seconded by Counselor Moran. Is there any further discussion? Okay, we will do a roll call vote. Counselor Buckler?
Finally got one in. I'm an A. I. Oh my God. I'm a something. I'm an I.
Got it. Thank you. Counselor Shay?
Aye.
Counselor Moran?
Aye.
Counselor Yudichak? Aye. Counselor Murray?
Aye.
Also an aye. That's unanimous. Thank you. All right, that moves us to item 9, which is old business, of which we have none. Item 10 is report of the town manager.
Great, thank you. So, let me just first by saying I got an email this afternoon, from, Representative Nuccio asking to bump the delegation meeting to the next meeting. She has an arrangement, or I'm sorry, an engagement that she has to attend. So I will throw that at you, and Jacob this week at some point, to move it ahead. But she'd asked, otherwise it'll be just Jeff Gordon, but if you can bump it out 2 weeks, I'll look at that agenda, but we'll get it to you. But she wants to get it done, as well.
I appreciate that she was proactive about that. So.
Yep, as do. And so I met with Lori Spielman, the first selectman in Ellington, and the town manager over there today, this afternoon. It was a great meeting. It was interesting in that he also a former police chief and attorney had the same concerns with information and data from the state police as I do, and suggested setting up a meeting with the commissioner. As we've heard nothing. There were other concerns that we need to get into those, similar to what that I've had here. So we're looking to just professionalize, formalize some of the agreement with the resident state troopers. That is not indicative of anything with the resident troopers themselves. Is more of a formality in the hierarchy moving forward. But it was a good meeting. We talked about regionalization with fire, ambulance, and police down the road. We talked at their animal control is a different beast than Tolland's with the ag in that town. So, and they're in good shape and not looking to merge services at this time, as we already got Wellington on board as well. But Matt and Reed over there, their town administrator, he and I see eye to eye on a lot of those measures. I talked about the Harvest Fest, and thank you, Colleen, for helping out with that. We have a good group. We have some businesses in town, Woodlake, and what's the name of the bank, Sarah, that Paula works at? M&T Bank. Paula Jakosik, who's, we went to school with her, but she's not a resident, but she wanted to volunteer. So those businesses are going to help day of. They came today to the meeting. Many of the new members were at the meeting today, to include Jim, who just stepped out. We have so many of the tasks already done. We are in I think fantastic shape. We're moving forward with everything. We have great input, positive meetings, and geez, Bruce, our rec director, is I think Bruce, the rec director, could put this together himself. He's by himself. I think Brenda Faluzzi, who's just a hired gun for us, she could do it herself. So with those two on there, the work and effort that they put in, it's really this will run smoothly. I don't know why I ever doubted it, especially with those two, and we're going to be in a good spot for it, and we're moving forward full steam ahead. And I look forward to the first meeting on the 19th, and then the library, the technological upgrades in the library, cameras, audible equipment, to be able to have all the programming available online. Again, we were going to go to the Library Foundation for that money, but Meg found a grant. That stuff was installed last week, or wait, I was away last week, the week before that. And that's going to be up and running very soon, and we'll look forward to some other minor things we want to do in there, like acoustic boarding and such, that was not covered in there, but we might go to the Library Foundation for. But originally we were gonna go to the Library Foundation for all of it, but Megan got it going, and she arranged, and she's been monitoring the progress when they were here on site. We're still waiting. Herring Cove is gonna get up and running for the pickleball court there any day. Megan and I took a drive today to the firehouse, and we inspected the tennis courts at Crandall just to see, with our luck, are the cracks there? There's none. It's great. The firehouse, we walked through and looked at, there was an issue where she thought she saw rust. She did, but it wasn't like the building is rusting. It was some metal shavings, likely that were in some water that had rusted, but not anything of a problem. But when I heard that it happened, we went right over there. The Electric Blue had their liquor commission hearing last week. At the advice of our attorney, I'm going to withhold comment, other than to say it lasted 8.5 hours. I think it was positive, and they have 90 days to render a decision. If their decision is to suspend their liquor permit, they will appeal. They have the option to appeal almost immediately. With that, though, we are going to now look to move forward with the town of Tolland's options. We're going to meet with Halloran and Sage, who's been handling that end. Matt Willits is the attorney, and look at possibly running it the same way we ran a previous hearing here. But it would be quite an endeavor, but something that I think we could handle. While the Liquor Commission was 8.5 hours, they covered a bevy of things. And our hearing would likely only center around the prostitution arrest. Their permit is up for renewal, or their town permit is up for renewal later in the fall. We might look to coincide there and see what our options are. But we decided today to at least explore, and then I'll bring you more. You two likely more as we start to move forward. But keeping an eye on it. It's been a lot. I think the Historic District Commission, I think, is going well. Jim's met with who he's needed to meet with. By all accounts, I thank everyone that's come on there and started to run it, and obviously Katie, for you for keeping an eye on it. But I'm happy that we're just moving forward with so much of this stuff in a positive way. If you noticed, Public Works raised the ADA walkway on the green. We're going to evaluate. We discussed it a little today. Do we need to move it for the Harvest Fest, or do we need to put it there? But I thank them for their efforts there, and they've really had a good year in regards to the ball fields. I don't know. Last year we got complaints all over the place, and of course we dealt with historic drought. But we had a lot of complaints last year, and they've done a good job keeping up with things. You heard Jillian from Human Services mention the therapy dog. So she had brought a dog in and said it was a therapy dog, and of course my concern was, whoa, we can't just do that, and let's have a formalized process. Mike researched it with our town attorney. We came up with a policy, to assure certifications, make sure insurance, everything. And it's working out. The policy was formalized. It's working out great. So, and as you can see, I saw her walking out of the high school with it, as she mentioned the other day, her and Teresa. So they're doing a fantastic job. So that's all I had with that. Any questions?
Yeah, can we get the therapy dog in for council meetings?
I was thinking.
Yeah, I love you, man. That's yeah, amen. Yeah.
What kind of rules do you need for therapy dog? You don't have to
A lot.
Yeah.
The new therapy dog policy is on the next agenda.
Awesome.
So maybe we'll actually.
Maybe the dog should come too.
100%.
Oh.
Yeah, bring it 100%. It'd be nice. And it works out. It just works out well for people in the office there. And there have been some other dogs in the building, so I felt the need to formalize. Yes. So, at any rate, that's all I have. Any questions?
Okay. Any other questions for Brian?
I don't know if you
I'd asked the question at the outset about the historical society and you told me to hold off now, or is that directed to you or is that directed to Brian?
Well,
I don't know why I was thinking of it.
Yeah.
About, the question was about state grants
Yeah.
to fund
right,
potential
yeah.
work at the jail.
Yeah, so we had a presentation from Megan in here earlier this year, I believe, where the engineering report came in for the requested updates to the jail museum. The estimated cost on that was around $500,000. Brian, do you have any updates on grants to cover that cost?
Megan's gonna work on it. It's a good to great grant, if I remember correctly, up to $500,000. And I wanna say there's the SHPO grant up to 200,000 with a 50% town match. You know anything about that as well?
No, but I
So,
can ask.
so I'll have Megan come, or I'll put
Yeah.
it in her report, cause
Yeah.
she texted me when she heard you ask, she was already sending me
Yeah,
a bunch of stuff on it, but I can have her come to the next
sure,
meeting.
and I did ask about the Good to Great because that is a state program that was approved. The bonding was approved by the legislature in the bond bill earlier this year. So I went to the Good to Great program and asked them. And there were some identified concerns about our particular museum because this museum, the Historical Society of this museum doesn't participate in the state and regional jail museum conventions. I know,
Very
there's like,
specific.
yeah, there's jail museums across the state and I think the Northeast, and they get together and they meet and they talk about jail museum issues. And my understanding, what I was told was, so this is just what I was told, was that our museum has been invited to participate in some regional meetings, some state meetings, and has declined. And one of the reasons that it's called Good to Great is there is a scoring, I guess, on this collaboration. So our museum wouldn't score as well as other properties because they don't participate in this more regional type, I don't know.
That's unfortunate, and she did mention something that to me a week or so ago, but again, I'm happy to have her come.
Yeah, I think it would be great to have her come for an update on that, because it is a big dollar figure.
Up to 500 would cover.
Would cover the whole thing.
Right,
although I
and
do
if you
think
look at that
there's-
SHPO grant I mentioned,
there's a
it's
state match
200
too.
with a match.
Okay.
So,
Yeah, and you can't use state grants to match state grants.
Well, we wouldn't, because it's we're not eligible for the Good to Great. The
Oh.
nonprofit has to put in for it, although
Oh.
Megan's helping them.
Yes,
with
yes.
something, is
Yeah,
helping
I think it's going to be unfortunate. I think
Yeah.
unfortunately, it would be kind of a long shot, and Good to Great hasn't opened up in a couple of years. So this is the first year in several that it's opening up, and certainly when I was at DCD, there was a lot of interest in that program. And they did get a $2 million bonding commitment or authorization from the legislature, which of course doesn't mean they're just gonna get that money. So there's a lot of moving pieces there. But I do think from what I heard that because of the decisions made by the historical society in not participating in regional endeavors, that it might decrease our chances of getting that grant.
Okay, so just two follow-ups. One, is there, unfortunately, it sounds like maybe not for this round. Is there anything the town can do to participate in this prison jail project, or is that something that's exclusively that the
I don't know.
Historical Society?
Yes, no, we're looking at that SHPO grant.
No,
No.
sorry, with respect to the Good to the
Yeah.
Great
Okay.
thing, they were talking about that we're not part of the prison
Yeah.
museum state society.
For the
Is there anything the town can do, or is that a decision that is not for the town, it's for the historical society?
There's nothing in our lease that says they have to participate in that. What they do lease that building for $1 a year.
Right.
No,
And
I
if
think
there
what
was a
Chris
provision
is
in the
asking
lease,
is could the town sort of,
It's a historical,
force them to join it.
or
it's a historical society decision is my question.
I think it is.
Okay.
Because they run and
That's
operate
never
that.
come across.
Okay.
Okay, so it's not that we should,
Yeah.
okay. And then the other one is, so there is still this potential Chabot thing out there.
Yep.
Okay, thanks.
And then there's some other, Megan will explain tax credits and such. She's got everything under the sun. But yeah, some other things that we can look at.
Okay.
But nothing compared to the 500,000.
Did you have a question first? That was impressive. You know, on the jail. I asked the question. It's filed in my brain. All right, so anyways, I do have a few questions for the manager. Just go to the, just an update, I was looking for the rec, not the rec, parks. Is that building going up smoothly? I haven't heard much about it. I know last time I think I asked, right, there was somebody sick or something, right?
Yeah, it's worse than that, but it's fine.
Okay.
We're in a good place. I speak to Scott about it weekly. We had a meeting 2 weeks ago with the town engineer. All indications are we are gonna be in a good place to have that money encumbered by the first of the year.
Okay, so is there a time frame when it's gonna start going up, or Scott's usually really good and really quick on things?
And he will be. It's in engineering now. Getting some engineering things coordinated between engineering the building, engineering of the septic field, and coordinating all that. As far as getting it up, next spring.
Okay.
Because we'll be in contract by November with somebody, and then it should go up quick from there. And it's not a complicated.
Yeah, I remember.
Structure.
You were on the committee. Yeah, you were. Yeah, I remember it wasn't gonna be complicated. It seemed like you got pretty good, pretty quick. So I guess my last question on that one is there's no expected to go over that $1 million. You know what I mean? I think we allocated 1 million. If we go
You
over.
better not go over
All
that.
right.
No, you better be under.
We'll
Yeah.
be cutting out something.
The intent is under.
Because that, once we use that, we lose it.
And then we'd go to ARPA and we'd have to run quick. So, but no, it'll be right around there.
Okay, and you'll know that when?
October.
Okay, so soon.
Yeah.
Okay, just wanted to follow up on that. And then thank you for the email about Fitch is gonna be here to do, talk to fire station and you, and I reached out to Mike to meet with them too if I can. I don't know.
No, you should. Yeah, no,
I assume that you gotta.
Yep, I worked with Mike was, you meant Mike Wilkinson.
Yeah, I'm sorry, Mike Wilkinson.
Yes,
yeah.
and any council, I encourage them if they want to meet with Fitch, we're paying them a good chunk of change.
Yeah.
To voice your opinions and such, or whatever questions they have.
Yeah, so that's great. And then I want to, if there was an update on the ambulance at all. New ambulance, it's been talked
Oh,
about.
God, no, I haven't gotten anything
Okay.
with that. It was moving forward, that was the good news,
Okay.
as to how long it takes.
Yeah, no, okay. So I was just wondering, I think that's it on those. The biggest thing was the Scott project.
Yep, and that's what keeps me up at night now, so.
No,
And also, we do have some, if I could just, HR wise, we have some job openings, Kim Kowalshin, our senior center director. Congratulations to her on her new opportunity in Mansfield. We'll look to post that, if it already isn't today, or
Posted today.
he posted that today, that position. We have the financial director position, posted right now as well. And, 2 DPW, positions open for, 2 different reasons, and that is posted also as well. So, but all moving forward, again, I anticipate positive results with all those positions.
Will the change in staff, the senior center impact programming?
Bev has assured us that it won't, and I don't think it will. They got good staff over there as it is, and then between, you saw,
Yes.
these 3 will knock anything over, so.
Okay, wonderful. That's really good news.
Yep.
Thank you, and please pass along our
Yep.
thanks.
I think I said that in the email too, but yes,
Okay.
They're closed for, I think,
the flooring.
a week or 10 days in September because they're getting their floors done anyway.
Oh, okay, so that's
Time
fine.
just kind
Yep.
of
Again, they paid for that.
is in our favor.
Just one question. with respect to the finance director posting, do we just rely on people applying? Is there like, I don't know, at that level of sort of, obviously it's an important position in the town, do we, are we hoping that we'll get, you know, qualified applicants, or is there anything we do to try to reach out? Or I just don't know, you know, with that sort of level of position in the town.
Mike, if you're on and available, you can talk about, I believe we do like, do we do an Indeed?
Oh, yeah, but
As well,
Lisa belongs to a lot of organizations. She's on there. She won't.
if Lisa and Mike, you wanna talk about some of the things we've done?
Yeah, so obviously GFOA, which is the kind of the governing body for financial directors that Lisa's very heavily involved with, both locally and nationally. Those are the real people that we want to get the advertisement in their hands. So we advertise with that. CCM, ICMA, which is the International City Council or City Managers Association. So we hit all the kind of governmental places you want to do so that people see it and it's out there. And it also gets picked up, obviously, when you put it online, it obviously gets picked up by other places. So we'll see what kind of recruitment we get from those. But you really want to get it into the associations where finance directors look. So that's what we've done so far.
And even more, I spoke with Ellington today. They had an absolute nightmare of a time hiring a financial director. It was scary. But I think we have an application in already. I think we'll be in a good place.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other questions for the town manager? Okay, thank you very much. The next item on our agenda is the adoption of minutes, and we do have two minutes packet in front of us, one from the August 13th regular meeting and one from the August 13th special meeting. Is there a motion to approve these minutes? All right. Motion made by Counselor Yudichak. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Counselor Moran. Is there?
Giving anyone an opportunity.
Is there any discussion or comments on these minutes? Okay, so just to reiterate, we're gonna vote on both of the minutes at once, and we will do a roll call vote. Counselor Buckler?
Aye.
Counselor Shay?
Aye.
Counselor Moran?
Aye.
Counselor Yudichak? Counselor Mari?
Aye.
I'm also an aye, so that's unanimous. Thank you. Next on our agenda, is 12 correspondence to council. Counselor Yudichak?
I don't think I have anything. I think it was just the one for. Unless I missed.
I think they might have meant to send it to the PCC.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
That was on the public hearing that they had last night.
Yeah.
That the PCC was.
That's how the council.
Yeah. Yeah. I forwarded.
I didn't listen. Okay.
Nope.
So that's it.
I got a piece now.
It's just odd.
We got mail first.
I know.
From CCM. Connecticut Municipal CEO Director. Yeah, it was like, I unveiled it right then. Yeah, let's pass it down and give it to Brian.
Great picture. Did you send that?
What?
You're in there.
There's no way.
Thank you. You're in there.
Jen Joe to yearbook.
I don't know how I got in there. I mean, I don't know how they got my picture.
I know how you got in there. I thought you I was wondering where they got the picture. Maybe they just dug it up.
Yeah.
It's fantastic.
All right. Good to know.
I don't think I already looked at that picture.
Yeah.
Item
Edit it.
13.
Yeah.
So item 13 is the chairperson's report. I will be doing chair hour next Thursday. I feel like it's next Thursday. I don't have anyone coming with me.
Okay.
Unless someone wants to, and they're listening and they email me. I continue to be grateful that the town has an operating budget for this fiscal year. I do think that it's important as town leaders for us to understand the impact of that budget, especially on items that we're not able to fund. One of those items came up tonight in our meeting, actually. There have been requests in past years and has been the recommendation of the Public Works assessment that we bring in additional administrative staff on the Public Works side, as our records are very outdated. And we learned more about that tonight when we talked about road construction, and learned that some of the road construction records are quite old and hard to find. The fact that we do not have an additional administrative staff with Public Works, one of the impacts of that could be that we don't have all the information that we might want as council members on road construction. And I think that's it for chairperson's report. Oh, no, one more thing, I'm sorry. I do wanna wish all the school age parents out there a very happy start to the school year. The kids too, I guess, but really the parents, if you're anything like me, you're really looking forward to the school year starting. So Tuesday is a big day. That's it for me. The next item on our agenda is communications and petitions from council.
No.
All right, thanks. Hold on, let me go over to my notes. All right. So now I just want to wish the staff and students going back to school as well next week. I'm sure we'll go fine and they'll be in good hands. I did want to thank the superintendent and Board of Ed. It seems. Oh, I'm sorry. Dr. Willett, I caught you. I can't sneak out
For
of
3 hours, didn't move a
I
muscle.
can't sneak out of class. I'm sorry. I feel bad. All right. So I just want to thank you and the Board of Ed for making it work with the French language. You did leave. So it's more of a co-ed, not co-ed, but between the middle school and the high school. They've done that before, but another subject. So it's great that French is still being offered. And I did read the Board of Education minutes, and it was great to see that they got a grant of $12,000 to pay for the Lexia program that was reduced out of the budget. So I know it's still not perfect, but it's good to see that, you know, some things are coming back and hopefully more grants and stuff. So again, thank you. The hard work, I'm sure, Walt puts into doing all that stuff, and you're still here.
I was gonna stay through it.
Oh, I thought you left. I'm so confused. So yeah, I thought you left. So thank you for doing that. And it's great that, you know, again, it's not perfect, but you know, it's still there and still being offered, and that, you know. Well, now you're dismissed. How's the chair? The chair has to dismiss you.
Thanks, Dr. Willett. Good luck with the school year.
Thanks, Katie. I think that's let me just make sure. Yep, that's it. That's all I had. Thank you.
Council Mark.
Yeah, no, I just want to thank Kim Kowalski for her service to the town and senior center, and wish her the best in the next step of her career.
Anyone else? Do you have something, Councilman?
No.
Okay. All right, not seeing anyone else. We shall move on to item 15, which is public listed participation. This is on any subject within the jurisdiction of the town council with a 3-minute limit. We will go back and forth between the in-person room and the virtual room. If you are online and you wish to speak, you can raise your Zoom hand or press *9 if you're here. We'd ask you to come up to the table if you're able to. Either way, we're going to ask for your name and address for the record. So we'll start on the record.
Okay. Oh, I ought to look, see if there's anybody behind.
No, just you, George. You're the star tonight.
Okay. George Overs, Fishing Game Road. Few things. Under bonding, I'd like to see the bonding as short as possible. Reason being, I've always, in my whole life, paid all my bills as they went along. I didn't like to owe money. So the sooner you pay them off, if I had a 3-year car loan, I paid it off in 2. I had a mortgage, it was 30, I paid it off in 7. I realize you can't do that with bonding. But what you can do is like a truck, road equipment. It should never be more than 10 years. You never know when a thing's gonna wear out. You don't wanna be paying off a truck loan of, what do you wanna call them, stupid things, bond on one and having another bond on the one that's replaced and the one you're still paying on. Same thing for a fire truck. The only thing that should be of any real length of time is a school, and hopefully I never see another new school in my lifetime. But you never know, I'm gonna be around a long time. That's the plan. So anyways, my vote would be on any bonding, keep it as short as possible. I know there's a lot of stuff that goes into it, but think about it, if you keep paying everything off sooner, then where you always also gonna come down because you paid off that truck in 10 years instead of 12 or 15. Same thing for a fire piece of fire equipment, so on. Here. Oh, I'd like to know an update on the when the sidewalk is gonna start. Doesn't sound like it's ready to start yet, but that's one of the things I had. And also, I would like to point out that I'm not happy. There's still too much oil in water on this council. I don't like when it starts getting chippy, people start raising their voices when somebody else asks a question or whatever and responding back and forth to it. I don't think there's any need for that. Maybe someone or someone's should consider resigning or something, because we need to, I don't want another 14, 15 months of this baloney where everything goes back and forth, and you got people that don't want to show up because they probably don't even want to be sitting next to each other and what have you. But it just, I've never seen a town council like this, and it's not right. You all, just like with the people that are running out there now, you know, no matter what, you're an American, and if you're an American, whether you're a Democrat or Republican, we're supposed to be thinking about what's best for the country, not what's best for your party, what's best for your country. In this case, we need to be thinking what's best for the town. What's best for you, or what your feelings are, is what's best for everybody. Getting over a sore throat, so I'll let it go with that. But just to let you know, I'm not happy. I'm sure I'm not the only one. Thank you.
Thank you. Sean Lappin?
Hello, Town Council, Sean Lappin, 168 Mountain Spring Road. I just wanted to say to George, I'm sorry I'm not there with you in person tonight, George. But to the Town Council, I just want to say I'm still disappointed and frustrated that we're so close and we're not there yet with this whole property at 168 Mountain Spring. It's frustrating that I need to involve my legislatures, my representatives to help move this process along. If there's anything I can do, or the legislature, or who to contact, I have a strong suspicion it's the town insurance company. And again, I plead the council to ask questions as to why they're not doing this work faster. It's been decided that they're going to do it, so let's just get the funding and just get it over with so that we can all move on. This has been going on too long. We're eight plus years, and I feel like we're close, but again, we're still a long way away. So I share George's sentiment about, like I said, some of the infighting on the town council. That doesn't help because you're not able to address the issues that other town residents and constituents have. So I would love to see that cleaned up as well. Thank you. Have a good evening.
Thank you. Is there anyone else online who would like to speak? We don't have anybody else in the room, so. All right. Not seeing any other public comments. We'll move on to item 16, which is adjournment. Is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Moved by Council Amari. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Second, Councilor Buckler. Is there any objection to adjournment? Any objection? Any objection? Without objection, we are adjourned. Thank you.